Hello, and welcome back to the Animal Communicator and Healers Summit. This is the place for aspiring and established animal communicators and healers to connect with animals, to connect with their abilities, and to connect with each other. I'm your host, Dr. Kara Gubbins, founder of the Animal Wisdom Circle and How to Talk to Your Pet, the proven four-step system that teaches anyone and everyone how to communicate intuitively with their pet or with any animal. And I am so excited to be sharing my next guest with you. Today we have Stefano Filippelli with us, and we're going to be talking about leading your pack. Stefano is a canine behavior specialist and a firefighter with Los Angeles City Fire Department. He specializes in behavioral modification of dogs with behaviorals such as human aggression, animal aggression, leash manners, and even separation anxiety. His motto is fixing dogs one human at a time, which I think tells you so much about his approach. And for more information, you can visit his website at canineintuition.com. Welcome, Stefano.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so pleased to meet you. And I have to start out by saying that I had more than one person tell me, Stefano thinks he's a dog trainer, but he's really magical.
I think they're just being nice, but that's cool.
I kind of don't think so. I think your reputation precedes you.
Thank you.
And I'm really, really curious to get into all we need to know about leading your pack. But what I really love to start with my guests is your story. So how did you become an animal trainer?
Well, it was dumb luck, I guess. I don't know. I made a lot of mistakes. I had this pit bull. I still have him. His name is Astro. And when we got him, great dog, super excited. Decided to go introduce him to one of my neighbor's dogs, which was the worst decision I could do. An unneutered male. And next thing I know, the two dogs ended up in a fight and really didn't know how to break it up. Eventually we got the dogs separated, but everything I did from that moment on was the wrong approach. I separated the dogs. I put my dog inside. So I left a negative imprint in Astro. And then I kept kind of pushing him into those situations where he wasn't ready and I didn't deal with it the right way. And he kept getting into fights. And one thing led to another, had this snowball effect. And one day my wife, Michelle, was coming into the house and Astro bolted out and went after a dog. And she called me in an emergency. Hey, how do I get my dog off? And talked her through it. And she gave me an ultimatum. Either you fix this dog or we get rid of him. And so that's what started this whole program I took him to a trainer and started working with that trainer. And in turn, learned a lot from him. He ended up being my greatest instructor. And I worked with that dog every day I had off, from the fire department. We worked daily, hours upon hours. And I was committed to fixing him. He's my dog. I created this problem. It's up to me to fix it. So I did it, and it took years. And is he fixed? No, he's never going to be completely fixed. It's instinctual in him at this point, but I use him as a working dog, and he's with me when I'm working with other dogs, and I can use him around behaviorally troubled dogs, if you want to call them that. And he does great. He listens, he trusts me. And from there, I just continued to learn, ended up working with that trainer as an assistant. And now I teach for her. And here I am now rehabilitating my own dogs. Astro has now allowed 3 new dogs into our home, 2 of which are also rehabilitation cases that I dealt with. One was human aggressive and the other one was as close to feral as you get. And then my 4th girl is Olivia, who's sleeping next to me over here. And she is bomb-proof. She's a great dog. So she's my go-to girl for all my trainings. And so there I am.
So it sounds like you both learned a lot. And it sounds like really it came from you just not knowing how to relate to a dog and what their world is like.
I always thought I was a good handler. And with an easy dog, I was. It was once I got an advanced dog who had challenges, that's where it separated me from other trainers or from other handlers. And I was lost. And I didn't know how to do the calm and assertive energy. I didn't know how to correct his behavior. I didn't know how to make him feel safe. The whole problem was I put him in situations, I didn't deal with it appropriately. He became fear aggressive because he didn't trust other dogs. And more importantly, he didn't trust me to protect him. And so instead of waiting for me to try and save the situation, he would just decide to react. And, I missed a lot of signs between his first fight and the point where he escaped. And that if I had seen those and knew what I was doing, I could have fixed it at that time.
And do you think that if you had caught it sooner, it would not be a lifelong situation?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest mistake people make is they wait.
They wait too
They
long.
don't see the signs and they don't realize that that wasn't play. And that was way more than play, or that fixation is not just interest. And so if you catch it sooner, it takes me a lot less time to fix the situation.
So you've touched on a whole bunch of things right here. And one is you being the calm, clear leader of your pack. The other is recognizing what behavior is appropriate, what behavior is kind of maladjusted or based out of insecurity or fear on the dog's part. And also not recognizing the signs and not taking action sooner. So for people who might be dealing with a dog that is aggressive towards other dogs or aggressive towards humans, where do they start? What's the first thing, the first clue, so they don't have to go down this long path, that they can catch it right at the beginning?
Well, the first clue really is how the dog is approaching certain situations. If the dog is pulling and going towards something, whether it's excitement or aggression, both of those need to be fixed, because both of those actions can actually harm the dog. So for example, let's say you have a dog who's super excited. I want to go see every other dog. Well, if he goes up to, say, the earlier Astro, he loses his nose. And in that process of losing his nose, you're now going to create a reactive dog because you had a negative experience. And if that compounds, it's going to just keep getting worse each time. So, now you have an issue. So that excitement that those dogs are feeling, especially in a young age, can turn to aggression. So it's about trying to teach them, hey, what we need to do is be calm in any given situation. And then with humans, the same things apply. I mean, honestly, the same triggers, the same fixation, and the fixation comes from, it's their body's way of warning. And that can, stiffness in the muscles, forward posture on the toes, ears up, tail straight up, jaws clenched, tongues flicking. They go from using their nose to using eyes. And you see that fixation in their eyes, that stare. So those are some of the warning signs you're looking at. If your dog gets in between you and another human, that's a warning sign. That's a warning sign that your dog is overstepping its bounds. So your dog needs to be to your side or behind you, and you be the protector. If your dog is claiming you all the time, sitting on you, but uninvited, leaning against you, those are little warning signs, little subtle clues that your dog's leading more than you're leading. And when your dog leads, that's a recipe for disaster.
So because they're going to overstep their bounds, they're going to act in a way that's dangerous or aggressive, or
they react
the situation can escalate.
Yeah, they react out of instinct. We react out of logic and reason. So if you have a dog reacting out of instinct, then they don't decipher things the same way we do. And so then you have more of a likelihood of a dog reacting poorly and choosing to use his teeth instead of, allowing the human to take control. So if you are stepping up as a leader and telling your dog that I've got this, don't worry, then your dog will fall in line and will give you that respect. Dogs will always protect us. And that's the mistake people make, is they think that if they have a dog that does that, the dog won't protect you. That'll never be the case. Dogs in the correct situation, even like any of my dogs in the correct situation, will step up and protect me. And I don't have a doubt in my mind about that. But
even though they defer to you as the leader.
Yeah. In the other given situation, I need to be able to protect them. That's what they want. They want to follow. They don't want to lead.
That's their comfortable place. Like if they know that you're the clear leader, they can relax and be at ease and not worry about having to protect or respond or do something.
Right.
So Is it for the dogs, you say when they're acting out of instinct, is that kind of like our fight or flight? So they're kind of acting on that automatic behavior, which they're not thinking things through. They're just kind of going for it.
Yeah, very much so. Especially with, say like an Astro, when he's in that mode, we call it the red zone. There's no thought process. It's just go, and I can't be mad at him for the way he reacts because he's reacting out of instinct, and that's ingrained in him. So yeah, you're looking at like a fight or flight type scenario, and that's how they deal with each other in the wild. And that's how they establish rank. That's how and it's body language. It's a number of different things, including communication, the nonverbals.
So what can we do with our dogs and in our homes to make sure that we are communicating to them that we're the leader of our pack?
Well, the very first thing is teaching your dogs how to be calm. And that starts when you walk in the door. Everybody walks in the door, and I do it sometimes too because I love my dogs. But I've established so many rules that I can get away with a little bit more than most people with my dogs. But when I start to see dogs with behavior issues, we got to go back to the basics. We need to create a lot of rules for the house. And one of them is ignoring your dogs when you come in. Completely ignore them. Go about, do your business. Go get a cup of coffee. Go check your mail. Don't talk to them. Don't look at them. Don't pet them. Just ignore them. So and it's not a bad thing. It's not that you are, treating them poorly. What you're doing is you're teaching them what you want. So you wait until they're calm. And when I mean calm, I mean legitimately calm, laying on the ground, not even caring that you're home at this point. And that's when you go up and pet them. Like Astro's an incredibly smart dog. He knows what I want, but he'll try and get away with something other than that. And so he'll come up and he'll sit, and he's stoic. He's sitting there, and you see his butt just kind of wiggling, just ever so much because he's trying so hard to be calm. And if I were to pet him at that moment, I feed that energy. So what I always tell people is I want you to starve the energy you don't want and feed the energy you do want. Excitement can be a nightmare because excitement can turn to aggression, especially uncontrolled excitement. So when you start to feed the energy you want, meaning you're petting the calm, the submissive, the relaxed dog, the dog starts to program and go, okay, so every time dad comes home and I'm super excited, he ignores me. And every time I'm calm, he pets me. So not to say he's not going to be excited when I come home, but it's about bringing that excitement down faster. So that's the first and foremost. You have to do that. You have to establish that rule in your house that you will be, you'll be calm in our home. But then establishing rules. So, a good rule for us is keeping the dogs out of the kitchen when I'm cooking. And that you have to learn how to claim. And in some of my videos that I'll put out there soon is how to claim things. How to claim a space, how to claim food, how to claim a toy, so that area becomes yours. And they have to learn to respect it. Another rule is they don't get to go on the couch. But that's up to you. It's a preference. You can decide what rules you want. But the main and the most important thing is you be consistent with those rules. Okay. And that you govern with, I always want to start our relationship with respect. I respect them. I respect who they are. I respect their spirit. I expect respect in return. And the way I get that is by being even keeled, not getting angry at them, disciplining in an appropriate manner, and doing the discipline when you catch them in the progress or in the act, not afterwards. So if those are some of the most fundamental things that a human needs to be able to do to start establishing that. Also, if you've got a pack of dogs, not so much showing favoritism. The dogs know it. And it's hard because, Astro's my original, so yeah, in a sense, he's my favorite. But I give them all equal amounts of attention. And I correct Astro if he comes up as being pushy when I'm giving another dog attention, and vice versa. So you've established the fact that you want calm in your house. You've established the fact that you have rules, okay? And then it's not just rules, there's boundaries, limitations, things of that effect that you want to, institute in these dogs. So maybe they can't go upstairs, or you limit the amount of play they have. Or a good one is don't allow play inside the home. Outside the home means play, inside means calm. And then don't let the play go over a certain level. So again, I go back to aggression excitement can turn to aggression. So if you have your dogs playing outside and the play just gets more and more and more, that play can turn into aggression. And now I'm having to fix a relationship between the two dogs. Had you stopped it earlier, then, you're teaching them how excited they're allowed to get. You can get to this level, but you can't get to this level. And so they start to understand where their play levels are at.
So they start to learn that they can control themselves.
Exactly.
And be in charge of their own level of excitation.
Yeah. But then also the most important thing too, I would say, or equally as everything, is being present in the moment. I'm addicted to cell phones. I am. But especially when I'm bringing a dog into my home, a new dog, that when the dogs are together and present in the moment at that time, I'm not on the phone. I'm not, watching TV, especially when it's a new dog in the house. You're present, you're there, you're aware. And if you do that, they know it. As soon as you start picking up that phone, they also know it. And they know you're not present. They know you're not aware. And then they're left to their own decisions at that point.
And it sounds like things can just escalate so quickly that 1 minute of checking your email or getting a text, and things could totally change in the environment.
Yep, totally. That's exactly what's going to happen. And it's, I had a client one time in class and her dog was doing well. And then she picks up her phone and starts looking at her text messages or whatever it was. And this is a reactive dog who doesn't like other dogs. And there are other dogs nearby, we work within proximity. And as soon as she started looking, I see this happening. Dog goes and reacts. So I go and I correct the dog and I look at her and I said, what changed? And with the cell phone still in her hand, she looks down and goes, you're kidding. And I'm like, no, it's that simple. Your dog is always aware. Your dog's aware of what you're doing. Your dog's aware of your energy. Your dog is always aware. So you need to be. That phone didn't come out again after that.
And I'm assuming that dog wasn't reactive to other dogs after that too?
Well, it took time to fix that dog, so that's just one aspect of it. But then you need to learn how to lead and you need to learn how to correct the dogs. And so there's a number of different things. Your dog has to learn to trust you. So when I have a dog that comes in who's reactive, a lot of times it's because the humans haven't learned how to lead. And so it's, like I said, it's fixing dogs one human at a time, or really balancing dogs one human at a time. I use the term fixing, so it's not really the correct term just because people can relate to it. But realistically, what I'm doing is balancing them one human at a time, because I have to work on that human. And one of the questions I always get, well, how long is this going to take? Well, it's up to you. How long does it take you to grasp this? Are you able to do this? It has nothing to do with the dog. The dog is the easy part, typically. The human is the difficult part. Sorry, one of my dogs wants to come in. So you can just let him in. It just is what it is. All right.
So let's go back to Astro, because you said you did so many things wrong and you missed so many signs. So I think that would be such a fun way to get, kind of a example and a model of what are the things to look for and where were the places where you could have intervened, but you didn't know it because you weren't seeing stuff yet.
The biggest thing I would say, the mistakes I made were the fact I didn't correct it the right way. All right. So yeah, I didn't see the aggression issues. Okay. I didn't, I took him on a run. I remember this one. This was a moment where I was like, what are you doing? And I took him on a run, and it was a long run. I outran this dog. It was uphill and he's lagging behind me. Well, then there's a dog going by and he's literally pulling my arm off. And I'm like, what are you doing? You don't do this. I don't understand what you're doing. And so sure enough, that's kind of was the first clue. I'm like, all right, I get it. He's starting to show some signs and some issues. But the biggest and most important mistake I made was how to actually fix it. So when he went into the aggression issues, right, and he in that dog fight, and I separated the two dogs, and I brought Astro into my house. And so Astro's still in that red zone. He's still just angry. And so if I had let that happen and well, which I did, I let it happen, that leaves a negative imprint. So he has a negative memory of that experience. Had I just made the dog sit and be calm once we separated them safely, of course, is sit and be calm with each other. Now, once they leave, because what happens is when they leave that experience, whatever energy that they leave in, excited, scared, calm, is the one they stick with. So had I made him be calm and we left with the calm energy, that would have been still a negative experience, but a lot less negative. And if I continued to do that, and each time that something negative happened, it wouldn't have been nearly the monster he turned into. And he literally was a monster at that point. I still have never seen a dog like him.
How long did that part last for, that monster phase?
It's an excellent question. I would say it was about a year from the first incident until we had to get him training. And then it was 2 solid years of training with him, of getting him to make the right decisions, and he was sneaky. He was sneaky. He would sit there and you think he's calm. He'd even be going to the bathroom, but he's fixated on a dog. And next thing you know, he nails the dog. And this is all in training. Usually he didn't get the dog, but he went at the dog, he lunged. And so it was getting him to make the right decisions, but getting me to see all the signs and to catch it in time so I could fix that before he goes there.
Like, as a teacher, he's really helping you focus on the smallest cues.
Yeah. Like pit bulls, for example, are one of the hardest dogs to read. Their tells, every dog's got a tell. They're very quick and they're subtle. And if you don't catch them, you missed it.
Yeah.
Now, because of him, because he was good at not even having tells, and he had them, but they were so quick that I got, hold on a sec. Nico, go around and take him with you. I'm sorry. If you want to start that little section again, we can. He's going to end up nudging the crate.
Oh, no worries. That's okay.
All right. So dogs, you got to love them.
They got back in the house.
Yeah. Well, Astro and Olivia, they were cool. They're here. But then Sophie and Kibo did not want to be outside. So you hear Kibo knocking on the door the entire time. He learned how to knock recently, and he seems to be enjoying that. So
they're smart dogs.
They are. And still, pit bulls are the only dog I'd really ever own. They're just my favorite to work with and my favorite to have in my home. But getting back to the tells, right? So Asher was really, really quick with his tells. And so now when I see those tells, it's like a neon sign. Even though they're quick, it's like, oh, okay, that dog's going to go there. And so what I try and teach all my assistants is that when you're teaching, when you're with me, your eyes should always be on the dogs. You need to be studying their body language so you can literally see a fight happen before the dogs even realize it's happening. And Astro taught me that. He's taught me the subtleties within a dog, the subtle communications. And for him, that he's literally, like I said, been my greatest teacher in that regard.
Yeah. I love that. So I'm making a little connection here. So hang on with me for just a sec, Stefano. So you call your business Canine Intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have Astro giving these finer and finer cues. So you're becoming more and more attuned at these really detailed fine levels that escape most people's awareness. And my mind is going back to when I was a graduate student and I used to watch dolphin behavior, and I was studying dolphin behavior at Marine World, and I got to know these animals, and I could catch gray going by out of the corner of my eye and know which dolphin it was without ever seeing any distinguishing marks. And I think that kind of honed, that kind of turns into an intuition or a detailed awareness below our normal level of
100%.
Conscious thought.
Yeah.
So I'm just really seeing, like, it's very cool to be having this conversation, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you're training your intuition right there on the job, just like I was kind of training my intuition with watching dolphins. Yeah. So where does intuition now come into the whole equation for you?
It's 100% of it. And that's the most fascinating aspect. And getting, oddly enough, is starting to get into that realm of animal communication and opening my eyes to what I have been doing without knowing what I've been doing, and speaking with other animal communicators and starting to understand what I'm hearing or what I'm feeling. So one thing I teach people, especially other trainers, is not just our five senses, right? It's that sixth. And there is a sixth sense. Is that gut feeling. So, for me, it's everything is energy. Everything is how I feel. Today I was assessing a dog, and I always quiet myself before I walk in, and I project. I try to project, or I call it pushing calm. And when I really get into a calm state, it's always in my back. It's always in the upper back that I feel it, and it's chills. And the light just turned off. So let me just switch this other one on real quick.
Okay.
All right. And so it's chills that I feel. I literally feel chills come out the back. And when that happens, I usually see a noticeable change in the dog right then. But it's trusting that feeling. There was this one dog in particular, his name was Whiskey. And my counterpart, she had called me in for help with this dog, human aggressive case. First time I worked with him, he latched onto my bite sleeve a number of times. And this dog was no joke. And so he's in his kennel, and she was only able to get him out by opening the top of the kennel as he lunged, throws a leash in, and catch him that way. But then it becomes, just a very dangerous experience taking him out. So she called me in for help, and I got in there, and she starts undoing the top. I'm like, stop. So what do you mean? I'm like, just stop. So we got to get him out the top. I'm like, no, I'm going in. So you doing what? I'm going to go in. I don't know why, but I'm fine. And this dog's lunging at the fence, right? He is just in that red zone, wants to kill, I'm like, I don't know why, but something's saying I'll be fine. Well, just give me some treats. And I'm not a treat guy. And sure enough, I went in. And within about 10 minutes, I was able to take him out on leash. And from that day forward, we made massive progress with that dog. And it's the intuition. It's the knowing what he's telling me. It's the trusting that sixth sense that I'm fine. We're good. And I strongly believe he was telling me that you're good. I'm just scared.
Wow. I love that. That is so powerful. And it sounds like that played itself out, that you were safe and he was just scared and he didn't know what else to do. He was scared of everything.
He was, literally. And even at that moment, so when I took him out, we have that on video too, where he would come up submissively, right? He's submissive to me, but I touch him, just touch. I don't pet, I just touch. He would yipe as if I'm hurting him. And we'd kind of get in a lunging, but wouldn't lunge. And so I just kept working that for a half an hour until finally he started calming down and understood that I don't mean harm. I just want you to be calm. And yeah.
And throughout that, were you doing that pushing calm thing? Mm-hmm. So you were really, so in energetic terms, the way I would look at it is really creating this energy force field around yourself that is calm. Like the calm is just like you could physically feel that calm presence.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like creating that space around you of just calm energy. And in my head, I'm saying, just relax. You're good. You're good.
So it's so cool that you have come to, because I know now you're working with Joan Ranquet mm-hmm. and her dogs. And are you taking her animal communication classes or not?
Not yet. I want to take the beginning one. I think she's got one coming up in October, and I intend on taking that one. With me, it's, she says I do it, and I'm skeptical of my own capabilities, and I really don't want to find out if I am or not doing it.
You don't want to find out? Why not?
I don't want to find out if I'm not. I don't know. I just don't want to fail. And that's my biggest thing, is just, I believe I am doing it. But I'm scared to find out that maybe I wasn't.
Yeah, no, we're so funny.
So it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to stick with what I know. But yeah, so she's got a beginner class coming up, I think in October that I want to.
Yeah. Because the way that you're describing your approach to training is really the same approach that so many of us animal communicators take to communicating with animals, and calming ourselves, getting centered, becoming hyper aware sounds a little bit weird, but an increased level of awareness of our senses and of our bodies and what's going on around us, and starting to tune into more and more subtle cues, just like Astro modeled for us and with you and that whole process. And then the dog in the crate really, like that is a confirmation for you. You were getting a message of you're safe and I'm scared. And that then played out. And these are the things that every aspiring animal communicator goes through, that like not trusting it, wanting it to be true, afraid it will be true, afraid it won't be true. And learning how to trust it and get enough experiences of it to where you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it's true. And there's another fascinating story too that kind of goes in line with that in with Joan too. And one of my assistants, she was studying under Joan, still is. And she'd come back saying, everything that you teach, referring to me, is what I'm learning right now. You teach the same things that Joan just, she words it differently, but it's the same. And so she was telling me some of the things that Joan was teaching, the imagine, and I always talk about imagine what you want out of your dog. I want you to imagine the result, expect the result. And so she said, send a picture of what you want to the dog, which I always talk about. And sure enough, a dog in class got loose and took off into the mountains. And so I took Astro and I took Olivia and we went looking for this dog, and we hiked 30, 40 minutes. This dog is gone. And then something told me I need to go over this ridge and through this gully and over this ridge. And I said to myself, I imagined that dog, and just as my assistant had told me, and I said, just stay there. And then I said to Astro, Astro's been next to me the whole time off leash. And then in my head, I sent him the picture of the dog and I told him, go find. And then I said it one more time out loud, go find, which is our term for going to look for something. He takes off down the gully. He hadn't done that yet at all. Comes up right as I'm coming up this way. So he cuts this way. I hear this very odd sound out of him I've never heard before. It's like this weird grunting. Next thing you know, he's pushing that dog into me. And luckily the owner was here, and yeah, he found the dog. And we leashed the dog and everything was great. And this dog had run probably a mile. And so it was a good experience.
I'm seeing the marriage of the animal communicator and the canine intuition coming together, Stefano.
Might be right.
Yeah, we'll be checking in after the October class for sure.
Okay, fair enough.
Any final words of wisdom for our viewers about how to be the leader of their pack?
The main thing is start with a very calm and assertive energy. You hear people like Cesar Millan talking about that calm and assertive energy. And it's really important. It's calm. You have to understand what calm means. Calm means lack of worry, tranquil, not worrying about what happened before, living in the moment at that time with your dog. So when you take your dog out on a walk, don't think about the past. Just think about what we're going to do right now, and that you want to walk with your dog, not I need to go walk my dog. And then the assertive, strong-willed, unrelenting, assert your beliefs. I want you to be calm. I expect you to be calm. I've got this. Strength, right? You're strong inside. Even comes into how you stand, how you present yourself. So when you have those two things, that's the first thing your dog's looking for. Is this person calm? Or are you full of anxiety? And is this person assertive? Are they the take charge kind of dog, person, or am I going to have to do it as the dog? And so those are the two most fundamental things. And then be consistent with your dogs. If you don't plan on following through with an order, then don't give that order. And one of the examples I use is that Astro was downstairs. He's on the couch where he's sitting right now. And I was upstairs and I was getting ready to take a shower. And I've introduced a new dog into my home. And they're not to be together without me in the room. And so I called Astro up and he didn't want to come up. He was being a little butthead. So I came downstairs in my underwear, I grabbed my dog and took him upstairs. Well, it just so happens all the dogs were upstairs anyway, so he didn't even need to be there. But I followed through with what I asked. Had I not, then I wouldn't be that pack leader that he sees. And so I just sent him on his way. Okay, you're good to go. Go back downstairs. So be the strong, assertive, calm leader and follow through with everything that you want your dogs to do.
Those are words we can all live by. Stefano Filippelli, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom about being the leader of our packs with our dogs.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's been super fun. And I know you have a special gift that you have for our viewers. Do you want to tell them about the video you made for them?
Yeah, so I'm doing a number of different videos coming up. And if you guys give me your email, I will put you guys on my little web page, or not really web page, I guess it's just an email list of different videos that I'm going to have. And so the first one is how to introduce two dogs. Okay, so that's one of the questions I get a lot is how do we formally introduce so we can get away from the anxiety of two dogs being next to each other. So I go through a little step-by-step, super easy way of doing it. It does take two handlers, but it's a great way to do it. And I did a little video for that, so I think you guys would love it.
Perfect. And we have a button right here on this page. So it's going to be a green button. You can push that green button, connects you directly to Stefano's website where you can sign up to get access to that video. Stefano's also going to join us for a second bonus interview, which will be available in the All Access Pass membership area. And we're also going to be talking about protocols for bringing a new dog into your pack in there. So you can join us over there. There's a button on this page for that upgrade as well if you want to get the All Access Pass. With the All Access Pass, you get lifetime access to all of these interviews plus all of the bonus interviews, which is I think over 50 interviews total now. Each one is packed with all this kind of great wisdom like you just got from Stefano, insight, information, inspiration galore. And the price does go up when the summit ends, so the best value is right now. So go ahead and click on both of those buttons, get the videos from me, get the videos from Stefano, and become the strong leader of your pack. Thank you, Stefano, for being here with us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in the summit, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.